play this game. Delete that bit. John, can you delete it, please, that bit? Because I don't want...
Not on. Not on. And all the brothers were, so I took them out. But the thing about life is that we are old players, aren't we? All of us. We're out.
Listen, when Sarah Ferguson opened her mouth this time, the entire royal world stopped breathing.
When Sarah Ferguson opened her mouth this time, the entire royal world literally froze. It wasn't just another headline moment, it was one of those jaw-dropping shocks that rippled through the palace walls like an earthquake. What came out of Fergie's mouth wasn't random gossip. It wasn't one of those made-up tabloid whispers you scroll past. No, this was personal, raw, and came straight from inside the royal circle itself. And the effect? Chaos, panic, curiosity. Harry, they say, was completely blindsided. Meghan, suddenly, she found herself dragged into a whirlwind that she didn't even start.
Sarah Ferguson's experience with the British royal family after she divorced Prince Andrew, I couldn't help but see parallels between what...
And all it took was one tiny phrase from Fergie, one that would ignite a firestorm across the internet. Within hours, social media was in full meltdown mode. Hashtags exploded. Tweets flew faster than anyone could refresh their feed. And the phrase, Andrew's first client, went viral like a spark on dry tinder. People from London to Los Angeles were asking the same question. What on earth?
Sarah Ferguson, Meghan Markle professionally. But you know what's wild? We're looking at Sarah Ferguson's life post.
Did Fergie mean? Before diving deeper, let's just take a second to appreciate the audacity. Fergie, the Duchess of York, managed to drop one of the most shocking royal bombs in years with a single mischievous smile and a whisper that shook the palace to its core. Now, what followed wasn't just speculation, it was pandemonium. Theories started flying faster than anyone could keep up. Some believed she was hinting at Meghan's past in Hollywood, others thought it was an inside royal dig. But all agreed on one thing, it came from Fergie, and that made it deadly serious.
Maybe I'm just in a bad mood today.
I love it. I love it.
I think it'd be far better if they got into stuff.
The madness began, fittingly, at a private event in Mayfair, one of those discreet London gatherings where money, status, and secrets mix under glittering chandeliers. The champagne was flowing, the laughter polite, and the air thick with hidden agendas. It was the kind of room where whispers can destroy reputations and smiles hide daggers. Fergie, being Fergie, was in her element, working the crowd with that magnetic charm that's kept her relevant for decades. She was laughing at the right moments, trading compliments, sipping her drink like a pro who knew every eye was watching her. But then, the atmosphere shifted. Something subtle, yet unmistakable.
And she's done everything we're about to talk about in the last 5 years. At least Fergie's like... There's
Witnesses say Fergie leaned in close to a small circle of guests, and with that trademark smirk of mischief, she delivered a line that made time stop. She allegedly said Meghan's first royal connection wasn't Harry. The moment hung in the air. Nervous laughter rippled through the group, a half-hearted attempt to pretend she was joking. But she wasn't. Her eyes sparkled, not with humor, but with certainty. That sharp, knowing look that said she was very aware of what she'd just unleashed. You could have heard a pin drop.
Oh, well. If it isn't two snakes fighting, because Meghan Markle's past is...
Within minutes, phones were buzzing across the room. People started texting, whispering, glancing around to see who'd overheard. Did you hear what Fergie, he just said? Spread like wildfire. Before dessert was even served, the quote had left the party, escaping those gilded walls and slithering straight into the world of tabloids, Twitter threads, and royal gossip blogs. And then it happened. The phrase, Andrew's first client, started popping up everywhere. Group chats, Instagram captions, celebrity gossip forums. Within hours, it had detonated globally. By sunrise, royal correspondents were scrambling for answers. What did she mean?
They've been backwards and forwards in all these shocking allegations between both of them.
And thankfully...
Was she implying a connection between Meghan Markle and Prince Andrew's infamous world, that world of elite yacht parties and whispered scandals? The ambiguity was genius. Fergie didn't say names, didn't elaborate. She just dropped the line and left everyone to draw their own conclusions. And that's exactly what the internet did. It ran wild. She left it open, like a blank space for the public to fill with their wildest theories. Some thought it was about social climbing. Others, about something far darker. By midday, reports say senior royals were already being briefed. Advisors panicked, unsure whether to deny, clarify, or stay silent. Each choice carried risk. Because here's the thing, silence in the royal world speaks louder than denial. And by the time Buckingham Palace tried to figure out a strategy, the damage was already done.
Harry, about how dark your baby is going to be?
Potentially.
The phrase Andrew's first client wasn't just trending, it was carved into the royal gossip timeline forever. Now, to understand why this landed like a nuclear blast, we've got to rewind a bit to Meghan's pre-royal life. before the designer gowns, before the Duchess title, before Montecito Meghan was hustling in Hollywood. And trust me, Hollywood doesn't care about fairy tales. It's a jungle. Meghan was ambitious, sharp, strategic, and charming. Friends from those days describe her as the kind of woman who walked into a room and made sure people remembered her name. She wasn't waiting for luck, she was manufacturing it. She went to the right events, mingled with the right names, positioned herself carefully. That's not shade, that's survival in LA. Everyone's chasing the same dream, but not everyone knows how to play the game. Meghan did. She wasn't just an actress, she was building a brand.
That there is a very real possibility that both Fergie and Andrew could end up behind bars. Now, of course, the other
one that blended sophistication, philanthropy, and glamour. And part of that meant moving in exclusive social circles, sometimes even brushing shoulders with European elites, jet setters, and billionaires who threw lavish yacht parties where power and influence mingled behind the scenes. Those yacht gatherings weren't seedy, at least not on the surface. They were glamorous, champagne-soaked events where connections could change destinies, people who mattered met people who wanted to matter. Deals were struck, reputations built, and for a young actress like Meghan, it was the perfect place to expand her world. Of course, with that came whispers, fragments of rumors, anonymous sightings, and photos that may or may not have told the full story. Nothing ever confirmed, but always enough to keep tongues wagging. Years later, Fergie's comment suddenly gave those whispers context, a missing puzzle piece people didn't even know they were missing. With one mischievous grin, she resurrected old Hollywood gossip and dragged it straight into royal territory, because now those scattered stories and forgotten photos were being re-examined. People claimed Meghan had attended a few of those gatherings while trying to build her image. Others swore it was all fabricated nonsense. No one knew for sure, and that uncertainty was pure gold for gossip. That's the brilliance of Fergie's move. She didn't accuse, she suggested. And that suggestion created a narrative so tantalizing, people couldn't stop speculating. Suddenly, Meghan's fairy tale rise wasn't just a love story, it was being rewritten as a strategic climb through powerful networks, some of which allegedly overlapped with Prince Andrew's old world. Now, let's be real, perception in royal life is everything. Facts matter less than optics, and one whisper can outlive 10 press statements. And by linking Meghan to Andrew, even indirectly, Fergie unleashed a storm that no amount of palace PR could contain. Listen, when Sarah Ferguson opened her mouth this time, the entire royal world practically froze. What she said wasn't your typical tea or some exaggerated rumor cooked up by tabloids. No, this was the kind of revelation that sent shockwaves through palace walls. Insiders were scrambling, Harry was reportedly blindsided, and Meghan Markle? She suddenly found herself in the eye of yet another royal hurricane. And the craziest part? This time, it came straight from within the royal family itself. One phrase, just one, was all it took for everything to explode. One phrase from Fergie that unexpectedly tied Meghan Markle to Prince Andrew, and in a way, no one could have predicted. Within hours, the internet absolutely lost its mind. The phrase, Andrew's first client, went viral worldwide, and suddenly every gossip page, every royal watcher, every fan and critic alike were all asking the same question: what on earth did Fergie mean by that? Before we get into the details, you might want to hit that subscribe button because what's coming next involves luxury yachts, secret parties, mysterious photos, and royal connections that no one ever saw coming. Trust me, you're not ready for what's about to unfold. It all began at a private Mayfair event. Picture this, a polished London evening where aristocrats sip champagne, journalists pretend not to eavesdrop, and everyone wears their best polite smile. The kind of setting where secrets are whispered behind manicured hands but never meant to leave the room. Sarah Ferguson, the Duchess of York, was there doing what she does best. Laughing at all the right moments, charming everyone in her orbit, exuding that effortless charisma that always makes people feel like they're part of something rare. But then, as a few guests later whispered, something shifted. The energy in that elegant room changed. According to several who were there, Fergie leaned in during a casual conversation, flashing that mischievous grin she's famous for, and dropped a line that made the air turn heavy. She said, "People forget, Meghan's first royal connection wasn't Harry." For a moment, silence. Total silence. Someone tried to laugh it off, thinking it was just Fergie being cheeky. But it wasn't. Those who caught her expression said it all. It wasn't a joke. Her eyes had that glint, the kind that says, "I know exactly what I'm doing." Within minutes, the hush turned into panic. Phones started buzzing under the table, texts were flying before the event was even over. Did you hear what Fergie just said became the message of the night? And by the time guests left that chandelier-lit room, her words had already escaped those walls. Then things went wild. The phrase Andrew's first client suddenly appeared in private group chats, gossip threads, and by morning, it had detonated across every social media platform. It wasn't just trending, it was erupting. Royal correspondents were in chaos. Twitter, or X, whatever you call it now, was burning with speculation. Andrew's first client was at the top of global trends before most people even had their morning coffee. Inside Buckingham Palace, phones were ringing nonstop. Journalists wanted answers. Tabloids were crafting headlines. And no one, literally no one, could explain what Fergie's cryptic remark actually meant. Was she being shady? Was it some veiled metaphor? Or had she just hinted at something far darker, something the palace desperately wanted to keep buried? And in the royal world, perception is everything. It can destroy reputations faster than facts ever could. The moment Fergie linked Meghan's name, however, indirectly to Andrew's notorious world, it wasn't just gossip anymore. It was explosive, because Prince Andrew's image had already collapsed long before this. Once a symbol of royal privilege, he'd become a symbol of scandal. His world was one of excess, lavish parties, private jets, and power circles that blurred morality. For years, he'd lived like someone untouchable. Friends described him as charming but reckless, addicted to attention, status, and indulgence. But over time, that glittering image cracked. His friendships with certain controversial figures made headlines. His infamous interview made things worse. Overnight, he went from a beloved royal to the family's greatest embarrassment, the one everyone tried to quietly distance themselves from. So when Fergie, his ex-wife and still close companion, linked Meghan's name to his world, even indirectly, it was like throwing gasoline on a royal fire already burning out of control. Because now, people started asking the questions nobody dared ask before. Did Meghan and Andrew's worlds ever cross before Harry came into the picture? Were there overlapping circles, shared acquaintances, old introductions? One old photograph began circulating online. It allegedly showed Prince Andrew with someone who resembled Marcus Anderson, a known name in Meghan's early network, someone connected to Soho House, that elite social club Meghan often frequented. The photo, reportedly from around 2001, suddenly became a talking point. Was Meghan somehow linked to the same social spheres years before? There's no way to prove it, but that's the thing about royal rumors. Facts don't matter as much as impressions. And that's where Fergie struck gold or chaos, depending on how you look at it. Her little phrase didn't accuse, it didn't explain, it simply suggested, and the world ran with it. Now, imagine the palace reaction. Inside those marble halls, officials were panicking. Every headline, every YouTube gossip show, every podcast was running with the same question. Was Meghan's connection to the royal family deeper than anyone realized? At the same time, Fergie remains completely unbothered. She smiled for the cameras, showed up at events, and acted like she hadn't just dropped the most scandalous royal remark of the year. And that was genius, because the less she said, the more everyone else talked. Meanwhile, royal PR teams were scrambling to decide, should they defend Meghan or pretend it never happened? Either way, it looked bad, and Fergie knew it. This wasn't some random slip, it was a masterclass in manipulation. Fergie has survived decades of royal scandals. She knows how to say just enough to make headlines, but not enough to get silenced. She'd been humiliated, sidelined, and mocked by the institution she once belonged to, but she always managed to bounce back. And now she was back at the center of attention again, reclaiming power with a single mischievous sentence. Because that's what Sarah Ferguson does best: create chaos, then smile through it.